We'll go more specific now into the SDTM. We know why we have a SDTM standard, but let's see what are the what kind of activity we have in a SDTM. First of all, you have a protocol. Protocol is one of the document which is created by a clinician, statistician, safety team to create protocol. You don't have to do anything. When you start your work in SDTM, you are going to have this document protocol. What is the meaning of a protocol? Protocol will say how a trial is happening, when it is going to happen, why the trial is happening, where it is happening. All this how, when, why, where, all these answers to all these questions would be given in a protocol. What is the objective of a trial is, what is the end point of a trial is, what is the study design, what is the treatment we have, what is the criteria we have, all these things would be mentioned in the protocol. I'll share the document with you after the class. From this protocol, we are not going to do anything with the protocol. I mean, we don't create this. We have this document in our place. From this protocol, our activities start. We create a CSV file or Excel file, which is called as the TDM, Trial Design Model Excel file. What is this TDM? I'll go in a detailed manner in the next classes. Just you understand for now, this is one of the documents. The TDM is a one Excel file which SDTM team has to create by referring to the protocol and nothing else. Only by referring protocol, we are going to create TDM, Trial Design Model Documents. Once you have
Sir,
TDM,
what is the format you said? I just missed it.
Excel or CSV file. Once you have a TDM, then SDTM team would create or they would annotate the CRF. What is the meaning of CRF? CRF stands for case report form. If you look into the CRF, I'll show you all those things. This is called as a CRF, case report form. By looking into the CRF, case report form, we can get to know basically what kind of a data we are getting, what kind of a data is getting collected. So if you see here, I'll just show you one of the simple page for now. So you will get the date of birth of a subject. What is their race? What is their sex? So these are the information which you are going to get in your raw data set. See, when I say here EDC tool, right? I was discussing about EDC tool here, right? Rave Inform Oracle. From this tool itself, CRF is created. Tool only, the CRF is created. And this tool would say what kind of a data we are capturing in the study. That same data we are going to receive when we work on a SDTM dataset creations. Nothing else would come up. All the data what we are going to receive, it is mentioned in the CRF. We are going to do a annotation of the CRF. What I have showed you, it was the ACRF. There is something called as blank CRF. Initially, when we receive a CRF from the DM team, it would be a blank CRF. When I say blank, it means, you see here, all things are called as the annotation. Whatever you are seeing in a blue color, it is called as the annotation. We are going to receive a blank CRF. Blank doesn't mean that it will be entirely blank. Only whatever you're seeing in a black color, these informations we will get. We have to annotate the CRF. What is this annotation? We'll look into this later. This is one of the activity in SDTM. We need to annotate the CRF. Once this is annotated, we consider this as the ACRF, annotated CRF.
Sir,
Mhm.
please quick question, sir. Sir, these annotations are done manually or do we have any system in place?
There would be a tool to annotate that. That is basically a PDF editor. So some company uses Acrob only, some company will use Nuance PDF. So it depends on the tool. Basically, it's a PDF editor tool.
Okay, sir.
After your annotation of the CRF is done, then there's something called as a specification writing. What is a specification? It gives you an idea about what are the data set we are going to create and what logic we need to use. We have a data set, list of a data set to be created. And also in each data set, we have list of a variable and the logic of it. So if I show you, this is something called as SDTM. This is something called as the SDTM specification. You can see these are the list of a data set, or we also call this as the domain. So if you open one of the domain, let's say I'm opening DM or anything. Let's say I'm opening AE dataset or AE domain. These are the list of a variable which we have to create. These are the label I have to assign. These are the logic I have to use. It gives you idea about the dataset and the variable what we are going to keep and the logic which has to be. This has to be created by a, once that is created, to create this specification, we need to refer, see for annotation of the CRF, we are referring TDM and we also refer SDTM implementation guide. I'll show you what is this implementation guide. We also check the raw data as well. And there is something called as CT is not required for the ACRF. When we do a specification writing, that time we are referring protocol, we are referring TDM, we are referring ACRF, and we are referring all these things. STTM implementation guide, raw data, what we have received from the DM team, and also there's something called as a control term document. I'll show you all this later. By referring to all these things, we write a specification. To create TDM only, we are referring to a protocol. To annotate the CRF, we are only referring to the TDM. And we also refer to the STTM implementation guide. Once the specification is done, then we create a data set, writing a program. Till now, everything was like kind of a manual process, writing some document. Excel file, this is a PDF editor file. And PDF file, this one is. And once these all things are in place, you have TDM, you have ACRF, you have a specification writing, and these things would be there, right? When we receive a data first time from the DM team, we will receive STTM raw data sets. And IG would be there, control term. These are the fixed document which we use for all the studies. So these would be there in the STTM team. So we write the program, SAS program, and we create the STTM data set by referring to the all the thing, by referring to all these documents, everything. We create a data set or a domain called as a something. We call it as a domain. So we create a domain here, data set here. First data set what we create is a DM, which is called as a demographic. Once demographic is completed, let's say, then we work on the STTM datasets, all other. First of all, we create this DM. Why we create DM? Because DM dataset would be the input. Along with the raw dataset, what we are receiving from the DM team, we also need to use the demographic domain if I'm working on another dataset in STTM. That's why we create this dataset first. Once this is in place, then we go ahead with the all other datasets in STTM. Whenever you create a dataset, you will refer all these things. Once the dataset is created, it would be validated, or also we can call it as a QC. What is the meaning of a QC of a dataset? It would be checked. So there is something called as a double programming. Each dataset or each domain would be by two person or two resources. Let's say you are working on the production side, I am working from the QC side for the same domain. And at last we will compare. See, our logic should be same, right? Let's say I'm creating some variable. Ultimately, the output should be, dataset should be same, right? Only thing is how I'm writing a code would be different. My mindset is different, your mindset is different. But finally, it should match. That is called as a validation. So it would be all the dataset what is created by a production programmer would be validated by a QC or by a validated programmer. So everything is matching, then only we call it as a dataset is QC pass. Once that is done, then we call something else. There is some tool which is called as a Pinnacle 21. Or also in a short, we call it as a P21. In a P21, we will just check whether our data sets, what we have created, it is following the guidelines of a STTM or not. What is the guidelines? This is the guidelines which is given by a CDISC team, STTM IZ. Whether the data set is following the STTM implementation guide, rules and regulations or not. That is what we check in a P21, in a Pinnacle 21. How we run this, all this thing we'll see in a few further classes. Once Pinnacle 21, everything is clean, everything is passed, then you have your STTM datasets. You have to create a XPT as well. You have the specification, you have the ACRF, you have TDM, you have P21 report, which comes from this tool. You have a two document which is called as the STRG and define. The data reviewer guide and define. These all things would be a part of a STTM team. These are the final document and dataset what we have. This would be the part of a submission, or if let's say the study is not going for a submission. We discussed that every 3 months we are receiving a data. So these all document data set would be the input for the next team, right? They will again use for their analysis by the Adam team.
Okay.
This is the overall process you have, overall activities you have in the SDTM. These are the final output you have. This is what you have to create: data set, spec, CRF, TDM, all these things.